hit rates, strikeouts? What was it like? Or, modeling tests, were you comfortable in those?
Yeah,
Talking
the
about
modeling
this.
test was almost second nature to me because that was a big bulk of what I was doing, building three statement models, LBOs,
Yeah.
things like that. So that was stuff I was all comfortable with. And even going beyond that, I kind of preferred it because if there was a case study or something, it was like I already knew what the things to look for were. And, it's not difficult to figure out like the main key things. The business has top line and expenses, right? So it's figuring out what to dive into in each of those aspects and whether to, all right, sales are going up, it's sustainable. On the expense side, all right, it's traditional private equity, what we go in and chop a bunch of costs and things like that. So it was almost second nature to me doing that kind of stuff. So I felt like even though a lot of the firms, when I did have a modeling test or case study, they allotted, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever the case is, and whatever types of questions they were wanting to ask, I would always finish earlier and have time to go through and think of other questions to play more offense rather than defense in those case study type things.
Meaning, when you say play offense rather than defense, meaning you would come up with additional questions, you'd want a diligence and stuff like that?
Yeah, and want to diligence this. And more often than not, these case studies are prior deals that they've passed on or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so would go in and so with that lens, knowing that they passed on some of this stuff. Because when you go through a private equity firm, you see their exited and active portfolio investments, obviously. And so, if they did the deal or not. And so if they did the deal, you could paint it more favorably and ask the questions that would really elicit better answers. And if they didn't do the deal, you'd say, hey, this analysis checks out, but the questions I really want to ask are X,
Boom,
Y,
boom,
Z.
boom. Yeah, they're like, exactly. That's what we thought. And then if you're asking all the questions on a deal they did do that painted in a favorable light,
Exactly.
Then they tend to like you more.
Exactly.
He's a genius. He sees it the same way we see it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So definitely playing offense more than defense was helpful once you get to that stage.